And welcome to Flightdeck Live. I am Tim Capper, along with Cliffy D. The Alouettes postgame show for Week 1 versus the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in Winnipeg, where the Alouettes come away with the win, Cliff. They beat the Bombers 27-12 in Winnipeg to beat Winnipeg in the opener in Week 1 for the 7th straight time. Wow.
Never mind that. A lot of people are going to automatically say, this was the Grey Cup rematch, and in a sense, yes, it was, because these were the two teams that were in the Grey Cup in November. But one thing we can't forget: the Alouettes still have not lost a regular season game since September of 2023.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You can't. Yeah.
Wow. And not just win, but win convincingly. Despite what a lot of people thought, wow. I mean, that's just absolutely incredible. I mean, the score, in fact, I think is actually a little flattering for Winnipeg because, yes, they scored a touchdown very late in the fourth quarter. We're talking garbage time touchdown. And it was just simply the fact that Montreal just wanted to get off the field and just get this game over with. The Alouettes defense held this Winnipeg Blue Bombers team, which everybody was still saying is going to be the team to beat, us included, held them to 6 points for the better part of 4 quarters.
Yeah.
I mean, holy cow.
Yeah. I mean, the team was just totally. They're just dominant in every single case tonight. We kept on seeing a couple times on social media, Cliff, where everybody was saying, "Oh, now the Bombers know to play their starters in the preseason because, man." You know what? I know there was a lot of contention going into this game. How good the Bombers were, and the Alouettes are just lucky to get to the Grey Cup last year. You know what? It's 2024. It don't matter. Again, if you don't do things right going forward, I think Coach O'Shea is going to learn a hard lesson tonight that you really do need to play a lot of your guys in the preseason because reps during camp really don't mean squat, does it?
Really doesn't. I think you really do need to get that game action. And listen, Cody Fajardo played that first preseason game, played the first quarter essentially, and that was it. And that was his preseason right there. But he still got the reps in. He still got, the feeling and working with his receivers and doing the things that you have to do to get ready for this season. Zach Collaros didn't take one snap in both of the Bombers' 2 preseason games. And I'm not saying that's the reason why the Bombers lost, but wow, he really looked average. He looked mid even. I mean, this was not the Zach Collaros we've become accustomed to over the past 5 years. I mean, it's wow. I mean, he really looked ordinary out there.
So did the entire offense. So, I mean, if you think about, how, you can't take anything away from Brady Oliveira. I mean, but again, just look at his final stats. I mean, a lot of people will say, "Oh, well, this is just, this is technically the 3rd preseason game." Yada yada. No, it's a regular season game, but still, look at the stats, look at the score, look at what the Owls did tonight. I hope they woke opened a lot of people's eyes. Yes, it's week 1. But again, they came away with a very convincing win in Winnipeg, a place where they just got their ass handed to them last year.
Absolutely. But as we've talked about, when the Alouettes and Bombers play in week 1, the Alouettes have a very, very good record against them, and it's continued. I mean, you can add another W to that. I mean, that's wow.
We'll take a page from their playbook, Cliff. It's for the dub. So
do we call them the Winnipeg Blue Bombers because there's no win there anymore for them?
Oh yeah. Oh man. Obviously there's a lot to talk about here, and we're gonna have to go into it a lot more in detail too on the podcast on Wednesday, including the surprising announcement of the CFL on CTV. Great news, but we will be talking about that more on Wednesday's show.
Yep.
Let's talk about what the Alouettes did here tonight, Cliff. Unfortunately, they did not come away unscathed, and we'll talk about that also. But again, Alouettes win 27-12. Alouettes were up 14 to 5 at halftime. And it's just, even though the Owls were up, 14-5 at halftime, the game still seemed to be in hand. I don't think Owls fans were worried in any way, but it's just how they just purely just dominated. Really, that first half. I mean, because you got to admit how it started off. Yeah, sure, the Bombers got that first field goal, but it's how the Alouettes were to stop them. But then the guy that ended the Grey Cup, well, basically scored the last touchdown of the CFL season last year in the Grey Cup. Well, him and Cody got together again and scored the very first touchdown of the 2024 season.
Yes, indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your Tyson Philpott era. I mean, wow. Listen, this is not a surprise to us. We've been touting him for a long time. We knew the potential was there. He just needed a chance to show it. He got to do that towards the end of last year, and he's just keeping the party going as far as I'm concerned. I mean, yeah, being able to score that first tutty of the 2024 CFL season, that's pretty damn cool. And what's funny too is you talked about Winnipeg opening the scoring with a field goal. That was as a result of Cody Fajardo just making a very bad decision in throwing that pick.
I don't know.
But thankfully, give credit to Montreal's defense. They got it, and they kept Zach Collaros, Brady Oliveira, all those guys in check, and basically held them to a field goal. Like, okay, that's the best case scenario at that point. But then Cody settled down. He made his reads. He started connecting with his receivers, and yeah, just that touchdown pass to Philpott, the very first one. Dude was on an island. He was all alone. Like, talk about busted coverage on that by Winnipeg's defense. Like, yikes! that shouldn't have even happened as far as I'm concerned. But Tyson Philpott will take touchdowns like that all day long.
Yeah, Tyson basically had a career year. He ended up having a touchdown in the fourth quarter on a beautiful flea flicker. It was a career-long 76-yard touchdown. Tyson ended the night, Cliff, with 10 receptions on 11 targets for 141 yards and 2 touchdowns. And people need to remember too, he has switched positions. Where he currently lines up on offense is completely different now. It was last year, and
yeah, he's a wideout now.
Through one game, I'm not going to complain.
And I gotta say, I love me some flea flickers. I mean, when it's pulled off to perfection like it was tonight, just out. You love to see it. You absolutely love to see it.
Now, here's the funny thing too. Somebody asked it on social, and I don't even know what it is. Somebody asked, so how do you say flea flicker in French?
Yes, that would be the Sickos committee
Yes.
who, again, they're infamous for following all the wackiness that ensues in college football, and they've kind of adopted the CFL as their league, their summer league, which is great. And because again, you're going to get crazy, unbelievable moments in the Canadian Football League, and I mean, very akin to what you would see in college football as well. A lot of just wacky stuff that happens that just all you can just do is throw your hands up in the air. It's like, well, that's the CFL, or well, that's college football. So it's so cool that the Sickos committee, was paying attention to this game. And yes, how do you say flea flicker in French? That well done. It's just, yeah.
Looking at the game itself too, we had a great night. Cody Fajardo. God, what's funny, Cliff? Out of curiosity, I don't know off the top of my head. Maybe I'll have it for the show on Wednesday. These are almost Cody's numbers tonight were almost, I think, very close. And almost spot on to what they were for the Grey Cup. He was 20 of 28, 254, 2 touchdowns and 1 interception. And close, very close. But I mean, for what a great game to start off the season. Not much happy feet. I mean, he got sacked just a couple of times, so the O-line did a very good job tonight. He even had 23 yards rushing.
So and did really well. Did a very good job with those runs. Like, there was no moment where you're like holding your breath, like, oh God, please don't, oh God. Like, there was none of that. Like, it was very well calculated, and had the presence of mind to get down when he needed to. Like, he did a great job moving the ball forward. And yeah, he looked like the Cody Fajardo that we saw that helped the Alouettes win the Grey Cup last year. And
Yep.
to me, that's crucial. That's the Cody Fajardo you need. That's the Cody Fajardo that has to be leading this team. And he came to play. The offense came to play. Like, we knew the defense was going to be outstanding. We talked about this on the show this week, and we thought, okay, the offense, there's a lot of potential there.
Mm-hmm.
Are they going to go off? And I wouldn't say they went off tonight necessarily, but they definitely looked outstanding. They definitely did the things they needed to do, and to do it in Winnipeg of all places. I mean, people talk about just how tough of a place it is to play, and the simple fact of the matter is, like, this match should have been happening at Percival Molson Stadium in Montreal, and I'm sure that really stuck in their craws just a little bit. Even though we know the reasons why, and it's understandable, I'm at the end of the day, I'm sure they're still using that as a motivating factor as to, we should be doing this, we should be playing this game at home, but instead, you go to their barn and you pants them. You make them look foolish. Like, you make them look like a team that's still in the preseason. I mean, that's kind of the vibe I got from the Blue Bombers. Was I feel like they felt this was another preseason game, because they had a lot of new starters in this game. Zach Laros was finally playing. Looked like a guy that hadn't played a whole lot of reps, and sure enough, you saw it. You saw what this defense was able to do, and they capitalized. They made them work for everything, and so many 2-and-outs, so many so many turnovers, so many
turnovers. Exactly.
There was just, like, this defense, as I said, capital R ridiculous is what this defense is.
Yeah, and Denny's right here. You don't win a game in the first game, but it was an impressive start, I will admit.
Absolutely. I always say, you don't win the Grey Cup in June, but you could lose the Grey Cup in June. And if Winnipeg, I hope for their sake, they get their act together. They play next week in Ottawa, and I hope Red Black fans aren't thinking that that's the team that they're going to be facing, because I think they were embarrassed tonight, the Blue Bombers, especially in front of their hometown fans. And I think they're going to be coming in to Ottawa with a chip on their shoulder.
Yeah, exactly. Let's talk about the rest of what we got here and the issues. Because yes, they did end up being banged up tonight. The Charleston Rambo had his first 2 CFL career and pro catches. He had 10 yards. KJG had a good game tonight. 2 receptions for 30 yards. Tyler Sneed, 47-yard, beautiful pass in the fourth. I think it was in the fourth quarter. Was it third quarter? And 2 receptions on 62 yards. Fletcher with 5 yards, and Dele with 6. Problem is, though, by the way, Cole Speaker, only 1 target tonight. Problem with Tyler Sneed, though, is he actually came away with what looked to be a lower leg injury, because after that catch, he came off limping. And it looked like it may have had something to do with maybe how the tackle was done. And then we saw later on in the broadcast, he had a walking boot.
Yeah.
So there may be
not good.
There may be some slight modifications on what's going to happen depending on how long he's going to be out. Will somebody become from the practice roster? Will the Alouettes sign somebody that they just recently dropped from training camp? I don't know. But I honestly think, I think you commented to me also, is that I think the Alouettes are going to be okay at wide receiver, Cliff, because we do have a lot of guys who can easily step up on the practice roster. So
yeah, there's you don't want to lose a Tyler Sneed. You don't want to lose anybody, really, but especially Tyler Sneed, just with his massive contributions from the Grey Cup, even tonight, had a couple of really, really nice catches, and it would really suck for him to be out long term. I'm really hoping, I think he just got his leg rolled up on, and maybe they're just being extra cautious putting him in the walking boot. I hope that's the case, because losing Tyler Sneed for any great length of time would be tough. There's just no other way to describe it. Losing someone of his caliber would be extremely tough.
Exactly. Rushing wise, Walter Fletcher had a pretty good day to start. I mean, he had only 12 attempts for only 36 yards. Cody Fajardo, as I said, had 23. STE had 8. Sneed had 1 for 5, and then Caleb had 1. rush for 1 yard, but that was for our other touchdown. The defense, as I said, 12 giving only 12 points. It was, it really was 5 up into that last, sorry, 6 up to that last touchdown in the fourth quarter by the Bombers. The defense did really well. Sean Lemon with a sack in the first quarter. You could see, despite what's happening right now, you could tell he came ready to play.
I was half expecting him to kind of lift up his jersey and just have like a "Fu Randy Ambrosi" shirt underneath.
Or God forbid, do this.
Ooh, yeah, just a little.
Yeah, or that too. Yeah, exactly. But sack also by Wiggins in the first quarter. Wiggins in the first half. They were really, really dominating. I mean, it's just like, then the interception by Dequan in the end zone. That was also, again, it's a continuous thing by this defense, stopping teams while they are close to or within the red zone.
Not to mention too that they also were giving a different look, and our man Glenn Suter talked about that as well. Just disguising the coverage. Caleros thought, was it the boundary corner? I think it was Nafis Lyon was going to play the ball a little bit closer than expected. So he thought guy was all open, but completely forgot about Marc-Antoine Dequoy with another Dequoy moment by snagging that ball in the end zone. Just absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, exactly. But then there were some issues. Obviously, is that and you and I don't know if we'll find out what exactly is going to be the diagnosis. Maybe because it seemed to be just an innocuous type of thing. But the Alouettes nominee for Rookie of the Year last year, new turf monster. We don't know what it is, but he twisted something. It was the second time he went down during the night, by the way. I don't know if they were related, but he went down tonight, had to be carted off, and then tweeted a little bit later that he was done for the season. Now, obviously, we'll get more later, whatever the report's going to be through the media. But if he goes down for the year, again, like Tyler Snead losing a Reggie Stubblefield, obviously next man up, but still it's gonna be tough. I mean, the guy's second year. If it is the case, he needs to get healthy, and we'll see him again, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's tough. It's absolutely tough for to lose someone like Reggie Stubblefield is absolutely tough, and it's a little tough as well, considering that the play before he was involved in a tackle with Chris Strevler, the backup quarterback for the Blue Bombers, who on 3rd and 1 just ran right through everybody, and just thankfully Reggie was able to make a shoestring tackle and kind of held onto his leg a little bit longer to make sure that the tackle went through, and kind of looked like he may have given a little bit of a twist, taking a little liberty with Strevler, and obviously Strevler was not too happy about that, and you can even see him limping off the field afterwards, and even trying to get himself back to form. And then almost, I think it was like 1 or maybe 2 plays later, that's when Stubblefield, I think it might have been his plant foot that just got caught in the turf, twisted a little differently, and then like you see when they're bringing the card out, it's not good, and you see that his leg was stretched out, and like just, oh god, if it's his knee, if it's ACL or anything like that, that would just suck. That would absolutely suck. And even though Reggie tweeted out he's convinced that his season's over, I hope not. I hope it's not as bad as it looks, as how he's feeling. I know he's discouraged. I mean, it's easy to think the worst, but my hope is that it's not as bad as what it seems. And if he's got to spend some time on the 6th game, so be it. But I just sincerely hope that his season's not lost as a result of this.
Exactly. Both lines did play very, very well tonight. Obviously they got to Caleros and was causing some problems, obviously, and was able to hold their running game in check. But on a couple of times tonight, we did have an issue with Cody's protection, didn't we? And it's I don't know. I don't really know if we can call it a concerning thing at the moment, being it only game 1. But there was an issue earlier on when it came to Cody's protection.
Yeah, Josh Donovan making his CFL debut at right tackle for the Alouettes. got kind of blown up a little bit by the Bombers' defensive line. Unfortunately, you're trying to keep your quarterback upright. It's tough. It can be tough, especially for a rookie making his debut. And I'm sure he must have been jacked, being able to start as a result of Jamar McGloster being on the injury list. So like this is his chance. This is Josh Donovan's chance to shine. He wants to go out there and he wants to do the thing. And listen, for the most part, he did pretty well, but there were a couple of glaring moments where it's like, he just missed this assignment, and as a result, his quarterback ends up eating turf, and not great. So
Yeah,
we could chalk it up to opening 8 jitters. Maybe that's all it was. I sincerely hope so for his sake. Like I said, I thought he did really well in the preseason. In training camp, he looked pretty solid as well. I'm willing at this point just to chalk it up to just a kind of the nerves of starting, getting your first start. I'm hoping that's all it was, and that he settles in and continues to do a good job. But still something that it's early, but it's still something you want to be concerned about if you're the Alouettes and you're this offensive line trying to keep your quarterback upright.
exactly. Here's a question from Brad Zuckerman. Who steps up for Stubbs? It is number 30, Bryce Cosby. He was second. He is second on the depth chart behind Stubby.
Also, fun fact with Bryce Cosby, he helped cause that first initial fumble for the Alouettes.
It's true.
So again, he's like most rookies, he's going to be mostly biding his time on the practice or on special teams. But give him a chance to perform, and that's exactly what he did. And I guess now with Stubblefield being out for however long he's going to be, now we're going to see a lot more Bryce Cosby. And sometimes
Did
that's
you
all
notice,
it takes.
by the way, that they went after him right away as soon as he came in?
Oh, absolutely. That's smart. That's what you're supposed to do. You see someone that's out of position, going in there colder than the other side of the pillow. Hell yeah, you're going to attack them. I would expect the Alouettes to do the same thing if they. No doubt they took advantage too of a lot of mistakes. Also, too, Kenny Lawler left the game.
Yeah,
got
I saw
banged up.
that.
So I mean, that was a huge weapon for the Blue Bombers to lose as well. But once again, they had a couple of young receivers as well that they were going to had no choice but to give a chance to, and try to make something happen. And unfortunately, it just didn't work out for the Blue Bombers in this case.
No, not at all. There's one other thing that I was gonna bring up. I mean, overall, I was quite happy how everything went. The running game, the return game, James Letcher. It's so funny watching him tonight, Cliff. I swear to you, the way that I saw that he was taking some of these tackles tonight is that one of these defenders were going to try to tackle him and push him out of the atmosphere because he was just going everywhere tonight. And it doesn't matter how he was being tackled. He was just like, it was like, are you about to be pushed up to the moon or something like that? But I mean, it wasn't the best night for him, but he still he had one great return tonight, which set the Alouettes up. I think it was on the other side of the center field.
Yep, and that unfortunately though, what people are going to remember most for James Letcher though was that muffed missed field goal, like trying to make it out, and
I question that, dude. I really would. That to me, I still think it was at the command center. Which, by the way, seeing the actual command center on live television for the very first time, I don't know what's going on in this league now. Everything we've been talking about is coming to fruition.
Seeing it is one thing, but hearing from it would be another. So I mean, listen, don't get too excited, Tim. I mean, yes, it's cool, but it's all well. I guess it's just to show that, hey, yes, we promise there actually is a command center. It's not just someone making stuff up as they go along. Like, look, it's right there. See, look, that's in Toronto. See, But again, all well and good, but I mean, we still need to be able to hear what the decision process is, like good, bad, or other. Like, so hopefully this is step one in eventually getting to that point where we get the full transparency of the call. And at least if only to understand what the command center is seeing and how they relay it to the referees and how they see it and how they call the game as well. It's step one. Let's hope it's step one of many in this instance.
Yeah, exactly. Vicky's chiming in here. Any news on Sneed or Stubblefield? Uh, we were just talking about that. Is that we're not really sure how we've seen guys put out tweets before, and that's before they get X-rays, and maybe he was able to get that while there, but he's gonna have to. I'm sure he's gonna have to see a specialist. We're gonna find out sooner or later because with Sneed being in the walking boot and Reg being carted off. Again, it's too early to tell. They got to get back to Montreal and get diagnosed. So
Yeah, I'm sure.
I still wouldn't be surprised if these guys go on at the 6th game at least next week heading into Edmonton. So
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I have to imagine they're going to have to go for MRIs tomorrow, and that'll tell the tale. And at this point, Alouettes Nation, all I can tell you is just think good thoughts. Think good thoughts for Tyler. Think good thoughts for Reggie. I mean, it's tough. I mean, we've already got guys on the 6-game list as it stands right now, and all you can do is hope for the best when it comes to these guys. I mean, you don't want to see injuries at all for anyone on both sides of the field. It's not great, but in a sense, though, this is where your depth gets tested. This is where you find out who you've got on your practice roster. And in a case again, it took a couple of guys getting injured last year for Reggie Stubblefield to come and become a part of this team again. We may end up seeing a scenario too where one or two guys that were last minute cuts end up back on this team and given their chance to shine.
Yeah, so watch the transaction wire.
Exactly, because that's one thing you can say about Danny Machocha, the general manager for the Montreal Alouettes, is he's not afraid to make moves. He's not afraid to address needs as they happen. If someone goes down to injury, okay, what do you got on the practice roster? What kind of depth do you have there? Let's give them a shot. And in the meantime, who do we sign to replace those people and put them on the practice roster? And maybe eventually those guys will get their chance to shine as well. So, I mean, it just sucks that it has to take an injury for something like that to happen sometimes, but once again, when your number is called, you have to be ready, simply put.
Exactly. We appreciate every one of you who joined us for Flightdeck Live for the season opener tonight. We will be back on Wednesday to talk about everything on the show, go into it into a little bit more in depth and talk about that very interesting CFL news that came across today. On who would have thought the CFL is going to be on over-the-air television for the first time, Cliff, in 38 years. Who would have thought? But we will be back again, as I said, on Wednesday. So Alouettes come away with the win in their 2024 season opener as they beat the Winnipeg Blue Bombers 27-12 in Winnipeg. And get ready for the next game versus Edmonton next weekend. So appreciate you. We'll see. Yes, Cliff?
I was going to say, make sure if you're not already, make sure you're following on social media. Make sure you're subscribed. If you're watching us on YouTube, hit us with a like, throw some comments our way, share. Make sure you're subscribed as well. Hit that notification bell so that when we do go live with shows like this, you get notified right away, and you can tune in and be a part of this as well.
And retweet us on X. Why not? Why not? Again, Alouettes come away with the win, and now 1-0 early on in this season. So again, we'll be speaking to you on Wednesday. So for everybody here at Flightdeck Live, for Cliffy D, I'm Tim Capper. Hey, we'll talk to you soon.